Yes, we've talking about Darwin's theory, evolution by natural selection. We hit on a couple different types of selection, didn't we? We talked about artificial selection, and we've talked about directional selection. And that's what we see right here. We see natural selection, and as a subsection, we're seeing this directional succession, where the population is going in one direction. In this case, we have that ancestor finch that's came in and populated the three, or well, in this case, three different islands in the Galapagos. And the directional means that each population, each new population, the adaptation changed towards one specific beak type. Now, there are other types of evolution that aren't directional. For instance, let's say being a small antelope means that you can like run and be agile, but being a larger one means that you can kind of you can kind of overpower your predators. And so those are two different adaptations for getting away from your predators. You can either be faster than them or you can overpower them. And sometimes you have evolution where the population will split in two, and so you'll have really small individuals and then you'll have a lot larger individuals. And we see that a lot in different sexes, and we call that sexual dimorphism, right? The males of the species might be really big, the females might be really small, or vice versa. Like when we're talking about the anglerfish, the female anglerfish is massive. The male, very tiny, very, very small. All right. So today we're going to be reviewing natural selection and genetic variation in our lab. You're going to learn how to formulate an investigative question and create a hypothesis. I don't know too much about the male and female cardinal to tell you right now, Jason, but you can look that up a little bit later. That's a great question. All right, probably colors, right? The male cardinal is red and the female, is she probably a brownish color? Okay, yeah. All right, let's bring it back. So then we're gonna have our natural selection lab using differences as an advantage in an environment. In this case, the differences are the beak shape, right? And what are beaks used for? They're used for eating, whether it's seeds, insects, or like eating insects out of tree bark, like getting into that tough shell, getting through the tough bark of a tree. We can see that right down here. Some beaks are better adapted for eating, ripping apart fleshy fruit like apples or pears, or even just small berries like this. And some beaks are better adapted to having being stronger and being able to break through this hard seed coat. So here is my investigative question. What effect does type of food available have on beak shape in finches? And so today you're going to be learning how to form a hypothesis about how beak shape is influenced by the food type. And typically, hypothesis is an if, then, because statement. And the lab is going to help you work through that. So you'll be able to formulate your own hypotheses. Okay, so what are we going to do to prepare for the lab? I'll go ahead and I'll pull up our images so you can always have access to this. The very first thing you're going to be doing is working on the module, lab, natural selection, and you'll be focusing on the warm-up. After you do the warm-up, you'll go to the instruction module, which is the next one. All right? Then, in that instruction module, you'll actually have a download link to this student guide. It'll be blue, and it'll say Natural Selection Student Guide. Just click on that and download it. If you cannot find that, as always, it is on our whiteboard. And that's just this one right down here, the student guide. I'll do a screen share quickly so you can see that. And that's just this one right down here, this student guide. You can download it now if you want, or it's also on our Canvas page. So we got 3 places for that. And it's just the student guide. So we'll come back here. Make sure you read the pre-lab information on that student guide. You don't have to work through the student guide, just read that pre-lab information. Okay? And I'll show you what that looks like right now. We'll do a screen share quickly. All right, so you will just read this pre-lab information. And then once you've done that, read the lab procedures, read the steps. This is all filled out. You're not gonna have to fill any of this out right here. Let's just read through this, okay? You will have to fill something out, and that is actually going to be in our modules, all right? If you can't see, make sure to minimize your image and open up the screen sharing image. That's okay, Konatsu. I'll come back to you in a moment. You can follow that checklist, okay, if you need to. So read that pre-lab information. Then, and only then, you can go to the assignments in Canvas and open up the Natural Selection Lab. Read the directions on the Natural Selection Lab, and then click Take the Quiz. Okay? Here's where you're going to fill out your predictions, and then you can go back to the module and work on the virtual lab. Okay? I'm going to put you guys into breakout rooms right now, and if you have any questions, send me a personal message. All right? I'm not going to keep this up because in our breakout rooms, you're going to have access to it, okay? So you can just look at that on your own screen, all right? Remember, you can open up the screen sharing section or the whiteboard or the images or even the webcam just by using the little people on top, all right? That'll maximize or minimize whatever window you want. All right, so I'm going to put you guys into breakout rooms, but while I'm doing so, please go ahead. And what should you do first? Work on what first? The warm-up. And what next? The instruction modules. Awesome. I'll let you guys get to that, okay?